fifth grade band students. Are you thinking about signing up for band in middle school?
You have questions or fears that you want addressed by your future teachers?
We spoke with the teachers at Westwood and Cheney Middle Schools for this interview.
And they gave some insightful answers to some of the questions that you all have asked.
Please stay tuned and enjoy this interview with Mr. Foster from Cheney Middle School and Mr. Schleich from Westwood.
All right, so will you guys please introduce yourselves, so your name and your school and the subjects that you teach.
I am Sam Schleich, and I am at Westwood Middle School, and I teach 6th through 8th grade band, jazz band, and percussion.
I'm Bill Foster. I teach at Cheney Middle School. Same thing, band, jazz band, percussion, and I also do strings at CMS.
Okay, great. And let's do a couple getting to know you questions. So we'll start with you, Mr. Foster. The first one is, how long have you been teaching?
Ha ha ha, loaded question. This is the end of 38 years. So,
wow, that's a long time.
A couple days.
Great. And then, okay, so the second one, what was your favorite and least favorite subject in middle school?
Oh, easy. Favorite band, least favorite language arts. I like to read, but I was too lazy to sit and make my writing good. I learned how to do that in college when I had to.
Yeah.
But it wasn't my favorite thing in middle school.
Yeah. Okay. And then the third one, let's do, what's either your favorite color or what are your favorite hobbies besides music?
My favorite color is purple, and my other hobbies are RC crawling, which is like 4-wheel drives in RC style, and archery. Pretty much. Very my cool. Wife and I like to do target shooting.
And you do an archery club at the middle school, is that correct?
Yeah. My wife and I both coach archery together at middle school.
That's awesome. All right, and let's do Mr. Schleich. Who was your role model growing up?
My role model, well, somebody that nobody knows is my father was definitely my role model. He, taught me how to work hard, and he let me know when I wasn't working hard. But yeah, he showed me how to do everything. And somebody that everybody knows, celebrity, one of my role models that I followed really closely was Ken Griffey Jr. A huge Griffey fan. He played the game right. He was respectful. And so I'm a big Griffey fan. So those are my two role models. Yeah.
Okay, great. I thought that was a really sophisticated question for a fifth grader to ask.
It's a good question.
Yeah. And then
the right thing.
Yeah. Second one for Mr. Schleich. What was your favorite and least favorite subjects in middle school?
Shocker. Band was my favorite for sure. And my least favorite, which I imagine you guys are all probably more interested in what our least favorite was. And my least favorite was math. And like Mr. Foster, I just didn't work at it. And when I figured out how to do it, I actually really enjoyed it. Unfortunately, that wasn't until college. So it took me a while to figure that one out, but yeah, math for sure.
Okay. And you get your choice on this last one. So what's one of your hobbies besides music? Do you have any pets? And what is something you're allergic to?
I really like hiking and camping, outdoors kind of stuff. And I'm just going to answer all of them because they're kind of exciting. Do I have any pets? I have a yellow lab whose name is Dog. He's 9 years old, sweetheart. And then I have a brand new puppy who's 10, going on 11 weeks. It's a golden doodle named Micah. And then I'm not allergic to anything except for cats. I think I'm allergic to cats. But
That's pretty lucky.
That's why I'm a dog person.
Yeah. Sounds good. All right, let's get to questions about band class in middle school. So I'm going to start with Mr. Schleich. I'm going to have you go first on these three, and then we'll switch off a little bit between you guys. And then Mr. Foster, feel free to jump in with anything that you want to add. So how often will the kids have band class, and is there band after school at all?
So I'm going to preface this really quickly. I think for the most part, between Westwood and Cheney Middle School, they're fairly the same. And whenever there's any differences, we'll try to both chime in and make sure that students understand those differences. So how often do we have band class? Well, we have it every day for about 47 minutes. And there's no band after school, but throughout the year, there arise some opportunities where Students can probably practice after school or something if we set that up based on how the year, where we are in the year. And in the morning, we have every morning for 7th and 8th graders is jazz band, and we meet at 7 o'clock in the morning till about 7:50. And I think Mr. Foster does that a little bit differently. But yeah, jazz band in the morning. And then, so if you're lucky, you get to see us twice a day. So,
And that leads into my next question. They were wondering about jazz band. Can 6th graders be involved in jazz band?
well, I'm not sure for Bill. My general requirement is no.
Same thing.
My general requirement is students need to have 2 years of ensemble experience under their belt, which would be 5th grade and 6th grade. And it's pretty hard. Jazz band's pretty tough. And so we want you guys to have a good understanding of your instrument under your hands before we start throwing some tough stuff at you. Now, one thing that I do is I do 6th grade combo group. About halfway through the year, I start that where we start just kind of delving into some jazz with 6th grade during lunch. And so it's an optional thing if kids want to jump on that, but it's a lot of fun. It's really laid back. So if you love jazz, you can do it in 7th grade, but we kind of dabble in it.
Yeah, they
about
get some
halfway
beginning experiences outside of class in 6th grade for sure.
Okay, great. Yeah, and that gives them something to look forward to too in 7th grade. All right, so let's go to Mr. Schleich for this last one. Can students be involved in music if they want to do sports, or what about if they want to do art, or even if they want to do choir?
Absolutely to most of those questions. So yeah, sports and music do not clash, especially at the middle school level at all. If you want to do music and you want to do sports, there's no issues for doing either of those. If you want to do art in 6th grade, it's your schedule's kind of full, so you do have to commit to band as a 6th grader because of the schedule situation. So if you want to do band, you got to do band. But when you get to 7th grade and 8th grade, your schedule opens up a little bit, and you're able to do, I think, band and any elective, with the exception of another music class. So if you're in band, you can't do choir because usually they fall during the same period. There are probably some really, really few exceptions to that rule. I've not seen it yet, but I'm sure it exists. But short answer, 6th grade has to be band. And then 7th grade, your schedule opens up and you can do just about anything.
Okay, sounds good. Let's go to Mr. Foster for this next one. What is your band class like? What will they do in class, and what new skills will they learn?
Band class is pretty high energy. They come in and we try to get a lot done. A lot of different activities every day between warming up and music we're working on and technique things. Some of the things I just kind of wrote to take notes. I don't get lost here. But they'll definitely be learning more scales, rhythmic, more advanced rhythms, and they'll extend the ranges of their instruments more so we can have, access to higher level music. And they'll be learning new styles of music, delving into not, just the beginning band music, but some pop music, some good classical music, so a little bit of jazz themed stuff, movie music. They'll get to a lot more different stuff as they come into middle school. It makes a big difference when we get to rehearsal every day.
Great, that totally leads into my next question about what type of music they'll play. They were a little bit concerned or excited. Some of them were concerned, some of them were excited about the possibility of it being more challenging. So we talk about how much more challenging the music will be, and if they need to get another method book.
Well, we don't. We don't give you anything you can't handle. And so how hard and challenging the music is depends on how our classes progress. And we give them music for where they're at. We're definitely going to give them more challenging music because, in my estimation, in general, more difficult music is usually more interesting and usually a lot more fun to play. And so as you guys go through to 8th grade and into high school, yeah, we try to push you and we try to challenge you. And that's what keeps you going. As far as method books, yeah, go ahead, Bill.
I was gonna say, that's just what makes it exciting.
Yeah. For sure. As far as method books, we don't have any method books. I like my students to keep their accent on achievement because right at the beginning of the year, I like to touch on it just to kind of get everybody on the same page. But as far as using that method book throughout the year, we don't. We use music as a method and to learn new concepts. So we play a lot of literature. We play a lot of different music to learn new concepts and skills. And so, yeah, we get rid of the method book. So,
And we do things online in classroom also, instead of spending the money on technique books.
Yeah.
There's so much available in front of the class that we can do online.
Yeah. And they'll be used to that now, which is great.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's do Mr. Foster on this next one. Actually, well, yeah, you answered this with the orchestra one, but that's okay. How do they get an instrument to use? Does the school have them that they can rent?
We have instruments that students can check out at school. They can rent them from music stores, depending on their situation. But we always are able to make sure kids have an instrument they want to play. We always make it happen one way or another. If they can rent them, great. But we have instruments, especially the larger, more expensive things, tubas, bari sax, bass clarinets, that kind of stuff we have. But even trumpets, clarinets, and Westwood too. Between us, we share them if we need. We get the instruments in the kids' hands. They don't need to worry about that. If it's a problem, we'll take care of it.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. And Mr. Schleich, let's do this one. Can they play more than one instrument, or can they switch instruments? Some of them were wondering about multiple kinds of saxophones.
this is a really popular question. And so what I like to say is, before you switch instruments, it's really important that you have a really solid grasp on the instrument that you're playing currently. And when you switch instruments, we like to take into account physical attributes. We're not going to put you on tuba if you're, 3'10" and you weigh 60 pounds. It's just not good for you and your spine. And so we take some of those physical considerations into account. But short answer, yes, you can play different instruments. That's why I like jazz band a lot, because if you play an instrument, you can join jazz band if you want to dabble in another instrument. If you play saxophone, all of you that are playing saxophone right now play alto saxophone, I'm pretty sure. Maybe there's a tenor in there. And in 6th grade, you do have the opportunity to move to a different type of saxophone, like tenor saxophone or bari saxophone, partly based on availability. And so if it's available, that option exists. Generally, I like to tell you to stick with the same instrument your 6th grade year and get a really good foundation. And then in 7th grade, we'll have that conversation again based on where you are. But I can tell you, in 6th grade, I want a tuba player. I want a baritone player. Those are exceptions to the rule for sure. Oh, and bass clarinet. I need a bass clarinet player. So no matter what, I will put a few 6th graders on different instruments just to help the ensemble balance out. We don't want 16 flutes. And so typically we'll switch students if we have like 10 alto saxophones. I'm going to move some students to some different instruments to balance out the ensemble. But really, it's a big team effort, and we put people where they need to be successful. And so there you go.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. I think you'll have a lot of trumpets coming up, so maybe one of them will want to switch to a different brass instrument.
Yeah.
We have brass players coming up.
Yeah,
Hey,
exactly.
I started out on trumpet
Oh yeah,
and ended up being on all the low brass instruments primarily, and what it all said and done. Yeah.
cool. All right, let's do Mr. Foster. How many concerts will they have? Will they go on any field trips to play concerts, or any just for fun?
Yes. They'll have 3 to 4 concerts a year, and possibly go to festival depending on where they're at that time of year in March. And there's opportunities that come up different each year as far as performing in the community, go down to the Cheney Care Center, things like that. But they usually get out for at least one thing outside of school in 6th grade. And then in 7th, 8th grade, they start snowballing into a lot of other field trips between jazz band things and the Silverwood deal. Opportunities if they're in band to perform with the string orchestra. And it just opens and grows each year with more and more things. But 6th grade starts with their home concerts and 1 or 2 outside things.
And same with Westwood.
Yeah, same with Westwood. Just like Mr. Foster, we're always looking for opportunities for them to play. And if something comes up, I mean, we always grab onto it. But in general, yeah, you're looking at about the same thing.
Great. And let's do Mr. Schleich on this one. Some of them were a little bit wary. They have some fears, I think. They were asking if they have to be really good at their instrument to join next year.
No, not at all. We will take you where you are and we will bring you on. We accept people that weren't in band in 5th grade. If students are, if you have a friend that missed the boat and wanted to be in band and they changed their mind between 5th and 6th grade, we invite them to jump into band in 6th grade. This is the time to do it. And so some of my best players didn't start until 6th grade. And it all depends on how much time you put into it, how much you practice, and we will take you where you're at. And so none of you are bad at your instrument. You're just inexperienced right now. And so if you don't think you're good, you've got the chops, you've got the skill, and we've just, that's what me and Mr. Foster do. We help direct that and give you the information to help you reach the next level. And we do a lot of that through the music that we play. We play a lot of fun and interesting music. And like Mr. Foster talked about earlier, we play a wide variety of music, and that helps you get to the next level. So everybody, come one, come all. Yeah.
That's a great answer. All right. And then last one, either of you can answer this. How do they sign up for band?
They do it through their 5th grade registration, which I think they have. And even if they didn't get it done now, they can have no problems getting signed into band when they come in the fall, or in the meantime, have their parents contact the school if they're not sure. It should be on their registration packet for going into 6th grade. But if they weren't sure, they can call the school and make sure they get enrolled, or we'll chase them down next year. The first week of school, we'll definitely be looking at the rosters and seeing and making sure that it wasn't a mistake.
Yep. If they didn't sign up and they wanted to, it's not too late. They can still do that. Their parents just need to make a call. I will note at Westwood, we're in a really unique position to offer a woodwind-based class in 6th grade and a brass-based class. So if you play a brass instrument like trumpet or trombone, you'll be in the brass/percussion class. And if you play a flute, saxophone, or clarinet, you'll be in the woodwind/percussion-based class.
Wow, that is unique.
And if you don't sign up for the right one, we'll figure it out in the fall, and you'll be fine. So.
Okay, sounds good. Let's do a couple of questions about your personal musical background. So let's start with Mr. Schleich. What instrument or instruments do you play, and how long have you played them? Talk about your main one and any secondary instruments.
Well, when we go to school, we learn how to play all of the instruments, and even Miss Hollenbaugh knows how to play all of the instruments to some degree. I have even dabbled in strings, and my main instrument, however, we all studied a main instrument, and mine was the saxophone. So I am a saxophone player, and so because I play saxophone, I have a predisposition to playing clarinet and flute. My wife has a master's in flute performance, so I have to be able to play a little bit of flute, or she'll get mad at me. And then I played trumpet and drum corps for a few years, and so I can work my way around the trumpet pretty well. I really like playing. Mr. Foster will appreciate this. I really like playing trombone. It's a lot of fun. I really, really love trombone. So if I could do it all again, I might have started there. So if I knew what I know now.
So multi-talented.
Oh, thank you. We all are. We're all amazing. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, let's go to Mr. Foster. Same question. Talk about your trombone.
I mainly play bass trombone. I play all the low brass instruments. In fact, I've never played, even though my master's degree is in bass trombone performance, I've never played a trombone in a band, concert band. I was a euphonium player, also played baritone euphonium, and jazz band and orchestra was all my background on bass trombone. So mainly bass trombone, but a little bit of everything in the low brass world. And how many years? I'll let you do the math. I looked it up and thought about it. I started playing a brass instrument in 1969.
Wow. Yeah, they can do the math on that one. All right. And Mr. Foster, do you have a favorite instrument or one that's the most fun to teach?
Yeah, even though my primary instrument is bass trombone, I love playing tuba. I played that a lot in marching band and orchestra and stuff going, and I love teaching it. I don't know why. It's hard to get kids on it. When they do, it's cool and it clicks. And I had one little guy this year, Ben, who just started going to town on it. It was just fun when they get that big instrument and they have their ideas about the tuba, and it's hard to get kids on it. When you do and they click, it's really cool because it's important.
Yeah.
It's an important instrument, in the band.
Yeah. You definitely need that low sound. And Mr. Schleich, same question. Do you have a favorite instrument to teach?
Well, my favorite instrument is saxophone, just because it's so versatile. I always thought it was really fun to play, and I enjoyed it from the beginning. But my favorite one to teach, I actually really like teaching trombone. I'm not very good at it myself. I'm not a trombone player by any stretch of the mind. But I really enjoyed like learning it and playing it. And I really enjoy, especially with sixth graders, because they're more my level of playing. With trombone, I really like teaching trombone because it's just, I don't know, when you get good at it, it's a lot of fun. It just kind of like glides through your hand, and it just makes a ton of sense. So
very cool. And let's stick with you, Mr. Schleich. What is your favorite thing about teaching?
My favorite thing about teaching. So I had a little bit of an opportunity to like think through these questions a little bit, and there's a lot of things I love about teaching, but I think that my favorite thing about teaching music in particular is that, in my particular case, I get to see you guys from 6th grade all the way through 12th grade, and I get to see your progression, and just you grow up, and it's really fantastic to be able to develop that relationship with my students. Most teachers only get to see you for a year, maybe 2, depending on what they teach, but we get to see you guys from 6th grade, and me and Mr. Foster are up at the high school all the time. We get to see our previous middle school students all, moving through high school, and see you guys graduate. And in some cases, I'm still in contact with a lot of students that are in college doing music right now. And so it's really a really strong relationship we get to build, and we get to do that in music. We don't really get to do that anywhere else. So I think that's my favorite thing about teaching music in particular.
Yeah, music builds that connection better than a lot of other subjects. And Mr. Foster, same question. Favorite thing about teaching, or did you always want to be a music teacher? What do you love about teaching music?
I always wanted to be a music teacher since middle school. Once I got into it, I think my favorite thing was a lot of what Mr. Schleich said. Watching the kids grow up. Teaching as long as I have, I talk to kids almost daily that are in their 50s now, and still keep in touch with them. But the other big thing I love is like seeing kids connect as they make music together and realize their capacity to affect others, together like that. It's a really exciting thing to see.
Yeah, totally. Well, these kids have a lot to look forward to next year if they go to either middle school. It's going to be a great experience and great program. And thank you guys for talking to me and helping answer their questions.
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Hollenbaugh.